This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm here with Brett Lane. Since 2003, he has been helping you envision, execute, and measure success online, Web 2.0 for companies across the state. Let me start off, first of all, a little bit about yourself. Brett, thanks for joining us. Quite honestly, 2003, you decided to start a company and really kind of rewrite the prescription of way marketing is done. You've worked with a lot of large companies out there as well as many startups. Share with me a little bit how you got involved in this industry.
Well, it started in 2003. I was speaking with my wife. I wanted to make a change and look at getting into a different industry. And at that time, SEO really wasn't that popular. People were starting to blog. Anybody could be called an SEO guru. So I looked at this as an opportunity to start consulting and making money working directly with clients, whether it be small, medium, or large-sized businesses. So at that time, I started reaching out directly to website development companies and asking them, hey, do you have any need for optimizing websites? Is there any opportunity to work with me, to work directly with your clients? And I basically sent out 100 emails to companies all over the United States. And out of those 100 companies, I got 3 responses. 2 people said that they thought it was interesting, but they weren't interested. 1 company said they thought it was interesting, and something had came up with a client the week prior. So it enabled me to start consulting with 1 company that had about 30 clients. So I was able to start offering up services to them, and I realized, hey, there is a really good opportunity here to make money and provide a service to customers that would be viable to their businesses.
That's an excellent story. You still remember those first numbers. That's kind of a cool thing. Quite honestly, every company out there, they need to basically maintain, increase their visibility. Share with me a little bit how online marketing has really changed the game just in the past decade.
Well, there's a variety of things that businesses can do online. When I hear internet marketing, online marketing, people think, there's like 10, 20, 30 things you can do. I specifically looked at search engine optimization because I knew businesses were wanting to gain a lot of traffic and they were wanting to do it in the most cost-effective manner possible. So the industry specifically has changed, and we've seen some ups and downs. We've seen a tremendous amount of changes with Google's algorithms, and my job has been primarily to stay on top of those, to keep my team abreast of changes, to make sure that clients are never penalized. In doing business over 12 years, I've never had a client taken out of Google's index. I've worked with companies who have gone up, have gone down, and every single time they've gone down because of algorithmic changes, we've gotten them back to where they need to be in a 3 to 6 month time frame, and we haven't charged our customers anything extra. So I take a lot of pride in being able to say that, in 12 years, we've never had a customer taken out of the index.
Absolutely. I mean, that's quite impressive. When a company is out there seeking a consultant, they're not only looking for somebody that has a vision, but they're also looking for somebody that has hands-on experience, and that's really what you're able to bring to the table.
Absolutely. Initially, when I started consulting, I was working with small businesses, people who, budgets could range from $500 to $1,000 a month, and that was huge, 13 years ago. And then I started looking at bigger opportunities. I did get my start in 2004, being able to work with an agency. And by doing such, I was able to get a lot of experience with bigger brands. So I was put in a situation where it was sink or swim. Here you are going and managing clients at a small level on your own as a consultant, and then a year later you're now working with huge brands where you are able to manage hundreds of thousands of dollars on a yearly, monthly basis. What I gained from that experience was being able to take big budgets, do a lot of testing, and then take what we learned from that and apply it to smaller and medium-sized businesses. So I could come to clients and say, hey, I've worked on million-dollar SEO campaigns, and what worked really well with these big businesses will work really well with you. The biggest stopping points with big businesses is the amount of red tape that exists between making a recommendation here and actually watching it become implemented. You own a business, it's small or medium-sized business. If I say to you, you need to change X, Y, and Z, you make those changes really quickly versus going through a little bit more red tape. So that, combined with Google being able to give small and medium-sized businesses the opportunity to rank just as fast as big businesses, has made a world of difference.
You also believe in tapping into your connections, your team, basically intelligence of guys that think outside of the box. Is that what kind of attributes to a lot of your success as well?
Yeah. I've spent a long time finding people who are really good at doing certain tasks. So I have a team of people who do link building. We have a team of people who write content. We have teams of people who can just do a variety of types of activities online. So rather than try to say, hey, I'm going to find one person who's really good at everything, I know that person is going to come at X cost, versus trying to find people who are extremely proficient at certain elements, and then working with individual teams to be able to get the best results. And I'm able to keep costs down for my clients because I'm not looking at it purely from an overhead perspective. I know I can send out 5 or 6 different tasks to 6 team members. Every person is an expert at what they do. I'm at the helm making sure that my consultants who are in my team can handle the projects that they're being given, and we see great success in doing it that way.
I imagine there's many companies out there that say they can handle that, and yet you find out once you're involved that is not the case. Quite honestly, many on your team are very experienced. I mean, they're veterans in this field because of the fact that they also evolved along with the internet. Does that make it a pretty powerful asset when you're dealing with folks like that?
Absolutely. Our team, we have if you're going to look at collective experience, it's over 30 years of SEO experience. Across the team, we have team members who are director level positions who know a lot about the changes that have occurred over the last few years, and we've got other members who deal specifically with clients in terms of managing their accounts and making sure customers know what they're going to be getting from a month-to-month basis. So we do take a lot of pride in being able to have people with a lot of experience. The experience levels do range from top down. And I always try to look for team members who bring something new to the table. So every single month, our goal is to ensure that we have something new to bring to customers, whether it's a different kind of link building or it's a new technique. But the key is, if I tell a customer you're going to pay X amount of money per month, even though I'm bringing new things to the table, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting charged more money. It means that we are changing their scope of work to reflect changes that are occurring at Google specifically. And in doing such, we've been able to keep a lot of customers for a much larger period of time, and we get really good results. Those activities are put on myself, and I look at, I need to be able to conduct those activities on a month-to-month basis. So I have team members who are managing activities. I'm looking at sales. I'm looking at strategy. With SEO, if you spend any time, not focusing on new techniques, new strategies, what happens is you get in a rut. And when Google makes a change, you're not ready for it, and your clients are impacted. And when you have over 100 people coming to you after an algorithmic change and saying, hey, what has happened to my business? My rankings have gone down. We don't ever want to be in that position. And within the last 3 Google algorithmic changes, usually out of 100 plus clients, we probably see maybe between about 5 and 10 who see some variances. And when that happens, what we do is we come back to clients and say, hey, we're going to change your scope of work to reflect Google's latest change. We're not going to charge you anything extra. We're going to make sure that it happens. And if we don't hit that by this period of time, then we're not going to charge you anything extra to do that.
I mean, let's speak of some of those marketing initiatives in detail. Let's start off where a lot of folks begin out there, and that is at the search engine itself, like you said, with Google. Share with me some of the specifics of what you're able to do with search engine optimization.
Well, the key is being able to ensure that if you have a website or a web property, that when Google comes to that site, it is able to spider it and collect data and is given the best depiction of what you're trying to sell, what you're trying to promote. First and foremost, there's 3 aspects to SEO that we tell customers to focus on. You want to look at basically the site itself, architecture. Is it set up correctly so that when Google hits the site, it's pulling all the information on that site so that it's given that great depiction of what you're trying to target. You're looking at the content on your site. Are you writing information that is conversational? You're answering questions. You are providing some kind of benefit to customers. And then lastly, who's linking to you? Google will tell you specifically that if you build it, they will come. And the last 12 plus years, that has not been the case. If you build something, great. It's good from a user perspective. There are some instances, if you have a bigger brand, people will engage with that brand and you'll have links being built to it naturally. But let's say you're a business in Colorado Springs or Denver and you're in the HVAC or you're in the plumbing industry. You build a site, it looks friendly. If nobody's linking to it and Google can't find those links to get to your site, it's irrelevant. I always use the example to clients. If you're selling hot dogs and you have a great hot dog stand, you have the best brats on earth. If you're selling it in the Sahara Desert, you're going to get some camels, and you may get occasional people coming by looking at that, but you're not making that much money. And you take the same exact person and you drop them in Times Square. You've got thousands upon thousands of people coming by their business. They're seeing it. They're smelling the brats. Those people are going to come and they're going to purchase from you. So I look at it the same way. If you don't have links, you don't have content, people aren't going to be able to find your site, and you're not going to be able to rank. So the whole, you build it or you create it and they will come. That's great in theory, but we as SEO professionals have to ensure that we are going in and we're staying ahead of those algorithms. And we're not trying to game the system per se. We're just trying to make sure that people can find those resources in a very efficient manner.
What is it you mean when you say universal search integration? What is that basically?
Basically, it's ensuring that you're utilizing different types of multimedia assets. So if your client does anything on the news, those news results are going to come into Google. If they're doing anything through social media, you know that you're going to get things that are called social signals, or links from Facebook, from Twitter, YouTube, and things of that nature. What we want to be able to do is take every asset from a client, whether it be images being used on Pinterest, or looking at videos through YouTube. Google owns YouTube. It's the second largest actual search engine that exists. So it's a combination of grabbing all of those resources and looking at a client and saying, hey, you own X, Y, and Z. Let's use those resources. Let's pull them together. Let's make sure that everything is found, and that people are linking directly to those resources. Now, when you do that, Google is going to showcase search results for specific keyword phrases. They're going to show news results. They're going to show images. They may show video. Google does a lot with their search results in terms of what they show. So one prime example, within the last month, there was something called a 7-pack, 7 to 10-pack. When you look at Google's local search results, what you'll notice is there used to be 10 listings that were local, like map listings. Now there's only 3. Since they did that, there is a tremendous, more amount of competition that exists from those other 7 spots, because before they were showing 10, between 3 to 10 spots. And nobody knows why they were doing it. I think it had a lot to do with conversion rates and things of that nature. Now they took that down to 3. So it really focuses a lot on who's reviewing your business, what are they saying about it, what the proximity is for your business to the city that you're targeting. And it looks at also who's linking out to your site using that information. So universal search results, that was really, really big about 2 years ago. Now, since Google has made a lot more changes to the way that their search results look, because they've always wanted it to be very clean looking, and given that fact, they're now trying to throw in a few things to kind of make it look better, make it more useful. But then what you'll see happen is if enough people get angry, Google decided to change their paid listings to have, 2 on top, or 3 on top, or 1 on top, and 9 on the bottom, or they did X, Y, and Z. And if enough people get angry and start talking about it, all of a sudden you see those changes occurring on Google. We went with the 3, or we went with, 2. Now we're going back to the way that it was, because enough people got angry, and Google wants to give the best search results, because 95% of their business is being powered by paid search. So if they don't get those people, they're not making money. They're not the 800-pound gorilla that they are.
I think it's fascinating how you guys are able to keep apprised of all the changes they're doing. I almost have to laugh when companies say, yeah, we do on our own search engine optimization. I'm like, what else do you do? I mean, obviously you're lacking on what you're actually out there to be serving the customer with. Obviously, search engine was big. That's what started the whole internet craze here. But it was Web 2.0, social media, that really changed the game as well. Share with me what you're able to help with folks in that arena.
Well, what we do is we look at social media and we try to amplify signals. So my team doesn't come in and say, hey, we want to take over your social media, because representing a brand is extremely hard. And if you make a mistake, you can make a brand look really bad really quickly. So what we do is we look at their accounts and say, if you're tweeting on Twitter, if you have a video on YouTube, or you're promoting things on Facebook, we want to be able to look at those assets and make sure that they hit critical mass in terms of exposure online. So I look at links from a social linking perspective, rather than saying to a customer, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to manage these accounts. We're going to make sure that a couple things are being posted to. I've noticed that in trying to do that in the past, it really caused, some issues or some potential issues with businesses. The bigger the brand gets, the more the brand is worried about what could be said. How do you respond to it? So we've taken the approach long before social signals were huge, and we've said, how do we go and get those links from these social sites and get it from real users? So, there are some things that you can do to automate that process. If a customer posts something to Facebook, Twitter, make sure that it goes out into the internet. That's the first thing that we do. Second thing that we do is we just want to make sure that those signals are coming from people who are influencers. So if I've been in the industry for 12 years and I know people who are writing about SEO, or I've dealt with 30 plumbing companies, I'm going to know people in their specific industries who may be bloggers, who have a lot of followers. All I have to do is seed one message to a person on Twitter who has 30,000 followers. Now I just got 30,000 additional impressions for a brand. So the key is doing that at all the platforms and becoming an expert at YouTube, at Facebook, at Twitter, and being able to ensure that you can go in and provide solutions for those specific offerings and get results for it. That's probably the hardest thing in SEO right now. Anybody can be a guru, they can be an expert, but when you start asking people, what have you done? What kind of results have you accomplished? Show us some rankings. Show us some client testimonials. I mean, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I have over 14,000 connections. That's because I've tried to cultivate my relationships on LinkedIn. On Facebook, I have over 5,000 friends. I would call them acquaintances. They're not like one-on-one types of friends, but I'm always trying to look for ways to build out my own personal brand, and then I take that knowledge and apply it towards clients.
As you mentioned right here, obviously, you work with companies that are goal-orientated. They respect the fact that you're goal-orientated, so therefore it's important for you to measure and track to make sure that they're getting a return on their investment. Is that really what the bottom line turns to that has really brought you success in the past years?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. If you would ask me that question 5-10 years ago, I would have said it's primarily about rankings, because that's what people look for. I want to know that I'm ranking for my keywords. As the industry grew, people started looking heavier into, okay, there's keyword rankings, there's traffic specifically coming from search engines. How sticky are they? Are they staying on your site for a long period of time? That's a huge, huge aspect. So over the years, we've kind of morphed to give clients more in terms of reporting. So nowadays, clients want to see that their keyword rankings improved over time from when you took their benchmark report. They want to be able to know that traffic is increasing from Google. They want to also know that their links are growing. Their brand exposure is going. If clients enable us to utilize tracking numbers, we can show from organic that their traffic is growing, or the amount of conversions that they have through phone calls is growing from X, Y to Z. Looking at basic conversions, it doesn't necessarily have to be a phone call. It could be who's filling out a form, who's printing out directions to a showroom, for instance. So we try to look at the specific goals of each business and say, hey, here really is, you tell us what is success. We'll tell you what is success from an SEO perspective. We marry the two together and we come up with a recipe for success. So at the end of the day, when a client works with us, we know, 2, 3, 4 months down the road, they're not going to be angry at us because we've already set the expectation of, here's what you're looking to achieve, here's how we're going to achieve it, and here's how long it's going to take to achieve that goal.
Fantastic. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, you can take a look at the basically marketing initiatives that they have there. Quite a list. I mean, across the board, you really are able to take any one of those a la carte items or the entire package and customize it based on the company, based on their budget, what it may be. We're talking about conversions, content, copywriting. Across the board, these are things that matter to all the companies out there. One of the things I see a lot of anymore is mobile media marketing. Is that something you're also getting into as well?
We right now are looking into making sites a lot more mobile friendly. Within the last 3 to 4 months, Google came out and had another update, and they came up and gave people information a long time before when they normally do. They came out and said, hey, if your websites are not mobile friendly by this period, you're going to be able to potentially see your mobile and your local keyword rankings drop. So historically, Google does not come out and say these changes are coming down the pike. It's someone in my industry who is doing testing who says, hey, I've noticed 30 of my clients' websites have seen fluctuations in rankings. So right now we're looking at things like responsive site design. If a person is on a mobile phone, if they are on a smartphone, a tablet, a computer, we want to be able to make sure that their site, the client site, is going to be responsive to design. So if you're seeing something on a screen that's this big, that the website is going to be shrunk to fit that screen. So that's the biggest factor. You're looking at things like the speed of loading, how friendly it is to certain mobile phones. So we are doing a lot with, if a client doesn't have the opportunity of having their website to be mobile friendly, we have recommendations and options for that. Usually the costs are really not that high. But at the end of the day, what we really want to be able to do is look at any kind of inefficiencies or opportunities for a client and make sure that we're hitting on those. So earlier you mentioned there's different kinds of a la carte options. The way that I really like to work with clients is taking a look at all their assets and being able to say, hey, if your site is not mobile friendly, let's make sure we fix that. If there's something wrong with the URLs of your website or your domain name, the way that they're being shown in search, here's how you fix that. And then being able to ensure that you're giving customers a customized proposal. So it's not a one approach fits all. We mentioned social signals earlier. If some clients have larger amounts of signals, we look at, well, how are you engaging with those people? You may have 10,000 followers, but out of all those people, only 100 of them actually make noise or they cause a ripple when you put that stone in the water. So we want to look at finding the people who are the biggest brand advocates and giving them what they need. I think that is probably one of the greatest aspects of my success as it relates to SEO, is just being able to make sure that we're not really delivering cookie cutter results, or not cookie cutter results, but cookie cutter solutions, because if you do that, you are going to give customers cookie cutter results.
Absolutely, and you're specifically able to deliver that because you yourself have worked with Fortune 500 companies, names that many of us would know, all the way down to startups and everywhere in between. So you're able to take those challenges, and basically at the end of the day, is it a rewarding occupation that you chose here?
Well, absolutely. I love being able to work with a variety of size companies. I do like working with big brands. There's challenges with that. But when you look at small and medium-sized businesses, I think the area where I get the most amount of satisfaction is being able to work with a business that says, hey, here's my budget. It's not a huge amount of money. What can you do with it? Because you can pitch out SEO, from anywhere from $1 to $1 million. It depends on how much need and how much competition exists. But when you can come in and you can work with a small or medium-sized business and say, hey, here's what we started with, and here's where we are now, and here's how much money and new clients you gained from doing that, being able to see somebody ramp up their business by using search, to me, and see those success, I know as a business owner myself that they get a lot more satisfaction out of that. I can make a greater difference with a small and medium-sized business. When you start looking at bigger businesses, the scales get much larger, but you can see it. You can see it in customers' eyes when they say, hey, we were only getting X amount of phone calls last month or the last 2 months, and now 4 months later we're getting a higher rate of calls, or we're increasing our revenue, or we're getting new specific clients. Being able to do that for me, it makes me really happy, because I know I can make a larger degree of difference for a small, medium business versus a large one.
Kind of exciting to see those small businesses really feel it in their bottom line there, and they're tapping into the same strategy and tactics that you use with the larger ones, and that's what makes it powerful. Viewers, last time, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. Once again, you're going to see their website. Check out the website, and you can take a look at all the different services they offer out there. Once again, we're talking about a very customized approach, regardless of what size of company you're talking about. Real easy to set up a consultation there. They'll walk you through the steps, find out what it is you're looking for, what success means to you, and making sure that those are the goals that are going to be set. You can also take a look right there on the site. They've got a news link right there that really is ever changing. I mean, you can really read that news articles there, and you're going to be heads and shoulders above where a lot of people are out there. Once again, this is a company that began back in 2003. For over 12 years, have been providing for companies large and small. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.